Hi everyone, welcome for this first episode of Around Emberring, a new series that will hopefully happen monthly, where we are discussing about the development of the game, giving you the latest news, as well as discussing gameplay design and maintain a contact with the community, answering new questions, and discussing the subject that interests you most. So today we do have John Gust with us.
Hey guys, John, aka Drinden. I am the executive producer on the project, so really excited to do this with you guys. Thanks a lot, Elloa.
And we do have Robert Thompson.
Hi everyone. As she said, my name is Robert. I'm the lead developer on the project. Yeah, we all wear a lot of hats, so I do a lot of things with these fine people, and excited to share some of that with you guys very soon.
And today we do have a guest. That will be a little tradition we want to introduce with this theory, to invite a community member as guest. And for this very first episode, we do have a very special guest because he is a community member, but he has become a game developer and nowadays is working very hard on the game as well.
Hi, I'm Adric, or Jonathan Zink. Been a long-time community member. Earlier this year, joined the team, and it's been great.
Do you want to explain how you got introduced to Embers Adrift and how this evolved into something more serious for you?
Yeah, I mean, it was probably like 5+ years ago. Found a lot of content about the game and sort of what the vision was for it. And at that time, I was really interested to see, what it took to make an MMO. So I thought, small team could really get in there and see what was possible from that perspective of, a team that doesn't have a whole lot of experience, but at the same point was small and scrappy, and just been following them along. And that's sort of how I ended up here.
Awesome. It's really
He's
nice
also
to
given
have.
us a bunch of invaluable feedback over the days, which is what caused Dr. Bob and myself to reach out to him actually and see if he wanted to come on as part of the team. So, thanks for your dedication as a tester throughout the years, and also
Yeah.
for all your valuable feedback. So
Lots of bugs sent your way.
And this is also a message of hope for any person that wish to work in the industry, but they are afraid to start up. If you have a lot of passion, a lot of dedication, you can make your way. And I forgot to introduce myself. So hi, I'm Elloa, and I'm the community manager for Embers Adrift. The subject of this series is to bring you some news about Embers Adrift, and also to answer your question. But this is the very first episode, so we will not have a Q&A section at the end. But if you want to have some answer for next episode, please do write them in the comments below, and I will personally try to answer them as they go, but we will choose and select the most interesting one to develop a bigger answer over an episode. So, what is this Embers Adrift you're talking about? It's a new MMORPG, or what it is?
well, Embers Adrift is a sandbox experience, player versus environment. It's an MMORPG. It's really focused around exploration, immersion, and in that vein, we don't have like mini maps or exclamation points above NPC heads. So we're really asking you to get to know the world and get to know the NPCs in the world, and go out there and find and discover things. It's really inspired by our experiences in early MMORPGs and tabletop games. So it's very group based. You can still solo in the game, but it's not just an MMO designed around solo with a small portion that's group for groups. It's really all designed for groups, with the ability to do some soloing in there too. So yeah, I mean, it's just about getting people into the game, getting people in around the Ember Ring, building a community, and going out and sharing adventures and making great memories together. So that's really what Embers Adrift is all about.
And you, Bobby, how? Sorry. And you, Robert, how would you explain it?
No, Bobby's fine. That's what my friends call me. So you can all be my friends if you'd like. But yeah, so for Embers Adrift for me is has been a wild ride of iteration, right? So like you have this idea of what you think a game might be, or what you think a good game might be, and developing a game from scratch allows you to kind of do that, right? So this journey we've been on has been making the game that we thought was the most interesting. And what's been more interesting for me is watching players like Adric play the game and provide feedback and actually, play with the players and realize, ooh, maybe this isn't as fun as we thought it was. And that iterative process of making small and large adjustments as we go along and watching the game kind of blossom into this thing that's actually quite enjoyable has been a great joy of mine to watch this project grow and develop and turn into something that at least I think is interesting. And it's got some different things in it that I think traditional MMO players may not be entirely used to, but I think they're unique enough to provide an interesting experience that sets us apart from other projects.
For me, what make Embers Adrift particularly different and stand out from some of the other projects and the other MMORPG that we have in the market is to really recapture this feeling of a tabletop campaign, something which is a little bit more slow-paced and a bit more atmospheric, immersive, where we can really slowly get into, which is not really what we can explore in the very fast-paced rhythm of the modern MMORPG today.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of what it is for me right now too, is the game has that space for players to interact with each other, that when you're playing a more modern MMO, you're so busy interacting with the game that you barely have time to interact with anyone else.
Yes, and the core aspect of Embers Adrift is really to build a community and to get the players playing together as a group. So, do you want to explain a bit deeper how we want to achieve this?
Sure, we can talk about that. I think one of the biggest things, for me, every time I log in, especially on like a test night when there's lots of players in there, I always hit O and I check the looking for group box. We're trying to not do jobs for the players, but just facilitate those pathways. So in the looking for group tool, you don't automatically get put into a group. You check the looking for group box, you look at who else is looking for group, and you can right click on their name in the window there and send them a tell and say, hey, do you want to group up together and maybe grow the group and we can go and do some more challenging content. So it's just kind of a grow as you go type of experience. You get 1, 2, 3 players in your group, suddenly you have a full group of 6 and you can go and jump in a dungeon. So that's one way I think that we're trying to facilitate a community aspect, and more immersion and reaching out for people to like actually come together instead of being forced together and they don't talk or things like that. Wants to jump in?
I would jump in to say that the ember rings. I mean, around the ember ring, right? So that the ember rings are these locations where you'll sit and rest, and as players, maybe a handful of players are off soloing and they don't realize that there's other people nearby, but they all come back to the ember ring. They see each other and they have these moments of maybe I should group up with this person. So it's very organic, finding people. And yeah, there is like the tools and OOC and other ways, and I feel like everyone has their own personal way of how they like to find groups, and all of them are really covered. in Embers Adrift.
I just wanted to speak on that a little bit, touch on what John and Adric said about the ember rings. The ember rings, which originally started as kind of campfires, were really just kind of an experiment that we ran to see, how would this fit within the game, and they actually turned into kind of a centerpiece because we recognized how well it worked at bringing people together at these focal points of rest, and they'd come together and they'd be like, oh hey, what are you doing, oh let's go kill stuff together, right? Or go adventuring together. So that's a perfect example of that iterative process of being able to say, let's put some experimental game design features in, see how they work within the framework of our game. And with that particular one, we've had a lot of success, and we've iterated on it continually to kind of make it a centerpiece of our game.
Well, and we actually found that people were sitting around the emberring a lot longer than they even needed to, just to
That's true.
chat with each other. And it kind of became the idea of like the emberring kind of became a focal point of our IP, which is pretty cool. So we also grew into that as well. Another way that we kind of facilitate this group sort of experience is that in our grouping, when you're out fighting, we have these different roles, so everyone kind of has a different role to fulfill, but it's also a very strategic game. The gameplay is very slow paced and everything's pretty dangerous, so you have to be careful. You have to talk to your group mates about, okay, how do we want to approach this? Let's have everyone stay in this location so that we can go out and pull one mob that we can hopefully defeat as a group, and see how we do with that. And if we find success, maybe we can move in deeper into the game and into the content, and all cooperate together to overcome the challenges, which my experience in more modern MMORPGs hasn't really been that. It's like, let's all get together and run in and just face roll and just slaughter everything, and we don't actually have to have a strategy as a group together. We can just kind of
Yeah, that's more
do
reserved for generally the end game, this type of
Yeah.
content, which can be difficult for some more casual player or less regular player to really delve into. And that has been one of my frustration personally as a MMORPG player. It's if you don't have the time to delve into in-game type of activities that require a lot of training and investment and time, it's difficult to find challenges. You will have access to the easy part of the MMORPG, which is certainly enjoyable, but sometimes you want something a little bit more. And here, I think in Embers Adrift, it really gives this degree of challenge that will require player to be on their toes and to work towards goals, while really being more open to casual player, because it's just a question of jumping in the world and continuing the progression of your character without having to stress to maintain a certain requirement, etc. That can be impossible for some people.
Yeah, it's really like a forgotten part of the genre. Like, it's always been a rush to the end game in modern MMOs, and it's nice to get back to a more traditional feel of the adventure starting when you log in, not just when you're at max level.
Things that we've been really trying to focus on is this MMORPG is about the journey rather than the end game, and what even is end game is a question that we've been posing to ourselves. Shouldn't the entire game be as fun as the end game? And so that's a big thing that we're trying to do in our game is find that sweet spot of making sure that players are having fun and finding challenging experiences all throughout the entire game, rather than just rush into end level and then getting the best gear and then maybe being able to take down a boss, right? So lots of nooks and crannies and treasures and secret mobs and all kinds of things to find in Embers Adrift as you go. So focus on the here and now rather than trying to rush things.
And that will be one of the core aspects of Embers Adrift as well, is to get this journey be intertwined within the lore. The players will be invited to explore a new land that has been uncharted and that it needs to discover and to maybe learn to tame. And at the same time, in the gameplay, it is very long pursuit of exploring the new zones and gaining in power.
Yeah, I think that's like one of the things that I really enjoyed, like during a lot of the test sessions, was sort of like getting together with people and just, you know, you get in there and be like, hey, what's that over there? And you go investigate, and there's some things there to fight, some loot to get, and it's like that wasn't necessarily the purpose of what you were doing, but it's all part of the adventure.
Indeed. So let's speak about Stormhaven Studio, which is an indie studio. How did this adventure started?
I think early on it was more about us looking at our experiences that we had in tabletop and MMORPGs, you know, in the past, and, you know, really making good memories in those experiences, and then looking at the MMORPGs that we had been jumping around to, and just not being quite satisfied, and thinking that MMORPGs had a lot more to offer the genre than people currently had access to. And so we thought, you know, if big companies and publishers aren't going to offer this experience, like, why don't we try to do this ourselves? And so it kind of started as a passion project. You know, we started out just kind of tinkering, working our spare time, and then it started to pick up steam, and you know, we got a lot of good feedback, even some feedback from industry people that were like, yeah, you're on the right track, keep doing what you're doing. And you know, once we kind of saw too that like this dream could become a reality, you know, we started seeking private investments, and it just kind of grew from there. Like, it was a process of believing in ourselves as well as getting good feedback from you know, the industry and the community that was behind the game. And you know, it's been a crazy ride. I will say that there's been a lot of victories and bumps along the road, and a lot of excitement, a lot of late nights and struggle and all kinds of things. You know, it's definitely been an arduous, difficult journey, but definitely worth it to see, you know, where we've come, and you know, to be approaching a launch here in 2022. So boy, it's been crazy.
A little bit stressed as it's approaching.
Yeah. This has been, you know, a huge blessing. I love all the people we work with. You know, we really trust each other. Everyone's doing their part, and it's just really cool to see everything come together into this product of Embers Adrift, and to see the community members who are testing week in and week out really give us some challenging feedback, but also some really amazing feedback that is very validating. You know, that people are having fun in our game. You know, like, that's what it's all about. We're having fun, and they're having fun, and that right there is worth it.
So why are we creating Embers Adrift exactly? In which way are we standing out from the other MMORPG that are currently existing or about to be released? And we have arrived in an age where, in contrary to 10 years ago, where everyone was trying to emulate World of Warcraft or its success, and very few games were really daring to stand out. And now it's not the case anymore. There's plenty of different MMORPG that are bringing a specific experience. But Embers Adrift is still very unique. In which ways will you describe it?
I mean, I think one of the first ways that we could answer that question is just by saying we're a very small, passionate team of developers who are part of the core MMORPG audience. So I would say that's one of the ways that we're delivering something different to, you know, we're not a big company. We don't have a AAA budget to do tons of marketing, and we're building this game off of passion and desire to see something that we want to see out in the industry, that we know other core MMORPG players want to see in the industry too. So, you know, we're really not trying to appeal to the most massive audience. We're not trying to be a WoW killer, is what I'm trying to say. We're trying to offer something that we know that we and other core MMORPG players want to see. And so far, I think we're accomplishing that. You know, the experience in Embers Adrift is really enjoyable, and we're getting a lot of great feedback about the type of experience that people are having. Some of our testers have said, oh, this feels like I'm in a tabletop campaign, or oh, it feels like I, you know, back when I was playing X game in, you know, early 2000s or whatever it was. It's really cool to see people say that, but then also have a modern twist to it. You know, we are offering a lot of quality of life features. We have some phenomenal visuals in our game, and we, you know, we're just trying to provide a game that has some of the core MMO principles that we thought made our earlier experiences in MMORPGs really enjoyable, and also at the same time offering some quality of life features that we know that more modern MMORPGs give people to make our lives easier, because, you know, not everyone has 40 hours a week to play an MMO. So
Yeah.
we're trying to kind of balance that, and that's a tricky thing to do, but so far so good, I think.
And here we will
Yeah.
be speaking about immersion, feeling of adventure, cooperation, challenge, slow paced. It's all about the journey.
Mm-hmm.
What is your opinion, Edric? As you started as someone discovering this game.
I was just gonna say, like, it's kind of been like I was on board from the beginning, and you know, as a community member in sport, and really even finding things that I didn't think I would expect to find in a game like Embers Adrift. And then I'll continually go back and play older games like EverQuest, either on the TLP servers or on Project 1999. And I'd find myself really missing features that Embers Adrift has, that, like Drindan said, with quality of life things that aren't, you know, to the level of things that have brought us into the modern MMORPGs, but definitely a step forward from those older games, where I feel like the family tree of MMORPGs is so heavily leaning in the direction of World of Warcraft that it kind of needs some compensation in the other direction, and sort of, you know, branch off a little bit earlier in that tree, and not have this entire, you know, horde of descendants of World of Warcraft where everything kind of feels the same all the time.
So Embers Adrift is like a new experience, a familiar new experience in a modern game. Something like that.
Yeah, you get feelings from those older games, but you definitely, if you went back and played those older games, you would really want some of those quality of life things that Embers Adrift has.
Yeah, I think
I was just gonna say, it's, you know, it's the rose tinted goggles phenomenon of, like, you go back and you play some of those older games that we hold so dearly, and, you know, like myself personally, I can't do it. Like, there's just so many things I'm like, man, I remember really enjoying this, but I was also probably, you know, 16 or 17 at the time, and had, you know, sure, I could spend 26 hours camping in Najina, no problem, because I had the day off tomorrow from school. But, like, you know, everybody from that generation is a little bit older now. They have different responsibilities. Things have shifted. Priorities in life have changed. And, you know, if you don't make a game recognizing those things and respecting the player's time, or at least making your best attempts to respect the player's time, then you're not going to win them over as a customer, you know. So definitely trying to not necessarily replicate, but provide some of those feelings or some of those environments. You know, it's really just kind of nurturing an environment that helps bring those feelings out amongst the players themselves, because a lot of what those feelings end up boiling down to are the social experience of how you interact with other players, and how you group with them, and all of those type of things. And distilling that down into an experience is extremely difficult. To, you know, get that spark that you're looking for. And one of the things that we're trying to do is not only appeal to those classic MMO players, but also, you know, there's a whole generation of gamers that probably haven't necessarily been exposed to those type of feelings, right? Like they maybe never got a chance to play those classic games and get those experiences that we had. So being able to not only try and provide an environment for those feelings to flourish, but also make it open enough for those that haven't experienced it to experience it. And that's been a really important design philosophy for me, is to try and, you know, bring others in and allow them to experience what we hold so dear in our classic MMO experiences.
This is an excellent point to ask you each your turn in one word. How you can define this experience for you?
Only one word?
Mm-hmm.
That's not fair.
Mm-hmm.
Come on.
It's the game.
Oh boy, I think I would have to go with immersive or maybe engaging.
I choose adventure. No one else can steal it.
That
You can
was
have
mine.
adventure.
It was
That's
mine.
fine. I choose exploration.
Oh, yeah, that's very beautiful. So we have immersive, adventure, exploration. That sounds
What
like
about you, Elloa?
Well, it would have been adventure. That was my words. But I'm
You can't
fine
have
with
it.
exploration. I'm fine with immersion. Another word, then it would be journey. Now it's time to have some big announcement. So, John, we have some very good and exciting news that will happen very soon. Like the trailer that will be released on the 1st of January.
Yes, I'm super excited for it. I've seen it a lot. Every time I watch it, I get that sense of like excitement, and it really does represent a lot of work and effort on the whole parts team in building Embers Adrift. And you know, Hammer Creative did a great job in taking what we've built, taking our philosophies and our game design principles and saying, okay, we're going to try to shove that into a trailer. And they did a great job. They did a fantastic job. So we're super happy with their work.
So,
We're
stay
looking
tuned,
forward to
guys.
everyone seeing it. Yeah, it'll be on our website on the 1st. So take a look at our website homepage, and you can click the button to watch the trailer, and we'll let us know what you think.
But it's not
Yeah,
all.
super excited.
The 2nd of January, there will be a special live stream on my personal channel with a discussion with the developers. John will be there. We will see who else. And then we will play the game and we will show it to you for the first time live. So that's also something to not miss out. If you miss the live, as it's on my channel, we will do a replay that will be published on this YouTube channel. So you will be sure to see that. But it's not all. There is another thing that is very, very, very exciting, which is the test for the New Year's. So can you tell us what is the point of this test, what the players can expect for this test?
Well, from the 30th to January 2nd, we're going to be opening up the servers to our pre-order testers to come in and have an extended period of testing. We're really focused on making sure that levels 1 through 10 feel good through South New Haven, and then branching up into North New Haven, levels 10 through 20 feel really good, and the specializations of our roles feel good, that you know, people really find they fall into a good, comfortable place in a group where they can contribute effectively. So, you know, we really want people to jump in, come and join us. The devs will be in there on and off, and we'll be looking for your feedback. If you guys can give us some feedback on our Discord server or in our forums, we'd really appreciate that. Yeah, we're just really trying to dial in that beginner experience to make sure that it's fun and enjoyable, and you know, for everyone that comes in and joins us. So store on the website, you can jump in there and pre-order if you haven't already, and you can join us for the 30th through the 2nd for extended period test. And then moving into January, we are going to be testing every weekend going forward into 2022. So
And if you are
join us
more
for that as well.
if you're more the careful kind of person, then wait for a trailer and for all the gameplay footage video that will be revealed on our channels, so you will have a deeper vision about what the project is about and make a more educated decision whether you want or not pre-order the game.
Yep. And if you pre-order before February 2nd, you'll get the Drifter title and the Wanderer title, and you will have access to the live game 3 days before our official launch date. And if you pre-order after February 2nd, you'll get the Wanderer title and you'll have access to the game 1 day before the official launch of the game. So hop on board, you know, in those time frames if you're interested in supporting our launch efforts and really helping us. You know, we don't have a AAA budget like some of the bigger studios, so you know, we'd really appreciate if you came to support our little indie team and help us in our launch efforts. We'd really appreciate that.
Everyone's feedback is incredibly important too.
Very, very
all
important.
the feedback that we can get from our test community.
That's very important indeed, and very useful. And we have already made plenty of change directly with the feedback of our community. And it's not always the same that give the same idea. So it comes from everyone. Everyone has the chance to shape this game, to make an impact.
Mm-hmm.
So that will be it for this first episode of Around the Emberring. You can expect us monthly. If you have any question, put them down below in the comments. If you have a particular wish, a discussion, a topic you want to discuss about, if you're more excited for a feature or another, please let us know, so we will focus the episodes that are coming up to those subjects. And before to end this, I want to wish you all a super happy New Year's and a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays for you and your loved ones.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for coming by and taking a look at us.
Same, thanks for tuning in. Happy holidays.
Yeah, thank you. Enjoy the winter solstice.
Bye bye, everyone. Take care of yourself, and we'll see you next time in a new episode of Around the Emberring. Take care.